Good to see so many of you here with us. And today we're going to be wood burning. So wood burning is one of my favorite crafts. It's such a nice pastime. It gives a really good campfire smell to it. So we're going to talk about some different techniques. And today, because it is right on the cusp of Easter, we are going to focus on some wood burning on eggs. But I do want to show you some other surfaces. So we have lots of wooden slices that you can use. We do have wooden eggs in the store right now still that you can get and you can decorate on. So we're going to have to try out some different things, some different techniques in order to burn on these eggs. And we can end up with some really beautiful wooden memories that you can keep for longer than those plastic eggs. So we're going to talk a lot about the different wood burning techniques, and you can use a plaque. You can use a slice of wood, you can use little pieces of plywood, whatever you have that's an unfinished surface. So as long as it doesn't have any chemicals or any treatment on it, it is safe for you to wood burn with. And we're going to focus on the eggs, but I will tell you some of the other techniques too that I use in order to burn on other surfaces. So I'm going to switch over to my overhead camera, and I'm going to show you the tool that I will be using today is this wood burning tool, and it is walnut hollow. And right now I have the tip in it that's called the flow tip. So you'll see how the flow tip is rounded and it gives a nice like bullet point kind of thing. So if you are wood burning with me right now, I would love for everybody to turn your wood burner on. So you do have an on and off flip switch. And so make sure that it's in the on position. And these do take about 1 to 2 minutes to heat up. So while I'm kind of talking about some of the other things, I'm going to let my wood burner start to heat up. If you buy one of the walnut hollow wood burners, they also come with some other tips. So there's a tip that looks like this. That's kind of like a calligraphy tip if you ever used old school calligraphy pens, where it's that nice angle. And so you can make really sharp, precise lines, or you can drag that to make a really thick line. So this is a really nice tool that you might want to use, or a nice tip that you might want to use. This is another one of my favorites because it makes a nice leaf pattern. So if you're doing a design that you want to have some petals, or maybe you want to have some feathers on a bird, this is a really nice tip that you can put into the wood burning tool in order to give you just those kind of branded tips, which is really nice to get that shape. And then it also comes with a very fine point. So this one is different from the tip that I'm currently using because it has more of like a pencil precision point to it. Whereas the one that I'm using right now, the flow tip, is more of a rounded tip at the end. So there's different tips that can go into the same exact wood burning tool. And I just have a pliers handy. So if I ever want to switch out the tips, you're just going to twist them off and put them into something like a ceramic bowl or ceramic cup so that they don't burn whatever surface that you're working with. And then you can go ahead and twist in a different tip if you want to switch that out. So when I'm working with this wood burner, of course, you want to be careful with safety, and you want to make sure that you're burning in a place where it's okay to have some of that smoke coming off of the wood burn. So I have a nice ventilated room in here with a fan going so that I can keep myself from setting off any fire alarms in my house. But if you have an outside space that you want to wood burn in, that would be ideal. And I am going to show you just some basics, and then we'll go on to some different surfaces and see some of the different kinds of designs we can do. So your very basics of your wood burning tool is I like to hold my wood burning tool a lot like I would hold a pencil. And then I also want to be careful with this cord, and I want to kind of collect some cord on my table so that the cord isn't dragging my tool away from my table. So I have plenty of lag and plenty of space to kind of play around with the tool without it dragging it off of the table. And then once your tool has heated it up, I have a practice piece of wood. So there's some Creatology pieces. If you have a Michaels that has all those shelves right by the checkout line, a lot of times there's some really cool wooden shapes. They might be circles, they might be hearts, they might be ovals, they might be all sorts of things. I think they sometimes have stars. And you can have any of these really nice kind of practice pieces, or you could use these and you could make some kind of like wooden banner for a mantle or anything like that also. So you'll know that your wood burning tool is nice and heated up if you try and drag it and you see a line appearing. If your line isn't this dark, then your tool might not be hot enough yet, and so you might want to let it leave it for just a little bit longer. But what I want everybody to try to do, if you have a tool and you're playing along with me right now, is I want you to practice making some dots. So if you just put your pressure onto the wood and make some dots, you'll see that the longer you hold your wood burning tool down, the darker, the deeper, the larger your dot might be. If you do for just a very short amount of time, you can get a more fine precision point to it. So play around with different pressures and play around with holding it down for different lengths of time to kind of see what your wood burning tool can do. And give yourself some dots all over a practice piece of wood somewhere. And see what you can do with different colors, with different sizes, with different pressures. And then once you feel pretty good about how you're holding the tool, make sure that you never touch any of the silver parts. Always keep your hand behind this plastic shield right here to kind of keep you away from all that dangerous heat. And then I do like to tape down my holder. This holder comes with the kit also. The wood burning tool is really inexpensive. I think you can get the whole kit with several tips for just about $15. So it's a nice hobby to pick up, and you can just have this tool forever and then just keep buying different surfaces or keep finding different surfaces to use. So I like this little holder here, and I put a little piece of tape so that I make sure that if I put my tool down, it doesn't slide anywhere and I don't accidentally burn any other surfaces besides the one I'm actually trying to burn. So once you've kind of graduated from trying some different dots, the next thing I'm going to have you do is try to draw a straight line. So I'm going to pull slow and steady across the wood to get a nice even burn, or as even as I can. And I just want you to practice that because it takes some getting used to with the tool. If I go too fast, you'll see how this line is a lot lighter. Or if I hesitate, if I start and then I stop and then I start again and I stop and I start again, you're going to start to see some dots in the path, because if you hold it down for longer, it's going to burn longer. So those dots are from your hesitations. So the name of the game with wood burning is slow and steady, and kind of let the tool and the wood do its work. So I'm just dragging this along slow and steady and trying to keep a nice even burn across a straight line. So a question in the chat asks, can you draw a light pencil line and go over it? Absolutely. And that is definitely a technique we're going to use when we start doing some more intricate designs. We can draw out the design and then we can burn over top of that pencil line, and you won't ever see the pencil line. So now that you've kind of practiced a couple of those long stretches of lines, you might also want to start adding in some curves. So again, slow and steady, and just kind of figuring out what it takes for you to make these curves. And slow and steady as I go. And if you start to get some of those darker spots that are from any little hesitation or just a little bit of an extra burn, you can always go back and kind of make the rest of the line match that. So if it is a little darker, make everything a little darker, and then you can kind of make it more uniform that way too. And I also want you to try, besides some curves, maybe draw yourself a shape. So I'm going to draw like a square down here. And I want you to kind of test out what it would take to fill that in if you wanted to do some shading. So there are several different ways that you can fill in that space with the wood burn. You can go straight for it and you can just burn the whole entire surface, or you can try some more drawing techniques like some hashes. And if you do some shading with hashes instead of with filling in the whole space, you could do it that way. You could also do cross hatching, which just means to go over what you already did in the opposite direction. And then that gives a really nice cover if you want it to make that whole space a solid wood burn. So there's different techniques. You can also do something called a stipple. So stippling is just using dots in order to fill up a space. So if I have the square like this, and then I just start making a bunch of dots in here, the more dots I make in here, the more of the space I shade in. So that's another technique to kind of get some shading into this space. And what I like about the dots or the cross hatching too, is that it gives it kind of another fun texture. And I don't know if you can tell here, but it kind of dips down and gives you some fun and interesting texture along the way too. So that's another good technique. So we have our dots, we have our straight lines, we have our curves, and we have some shading techniques. And with those, I think we're ready to start looking at some designs. So if you wanted to make something similar to this rabbit, I have a wooden plaque, a nice wooden surface. It's Art Minds. And I think it's 5 by 7, but they do have a couple different sizes. And then what I did was, let's say that you have a coloring book or you have some kind of printout from a computer that gives you that shape of what you want for your outline. What you're going to do is you're going to use graphite paper, which is going to transfer whatever design. So I'm going to show you kind of how to do that briefly before we go into the eggs. So I'm going to give myself another surface, and I'm going to open up this transfer paper and kind of show you how this works. Now, what we were talking about before class started is that I'm not a big drawing kind of person. I don't feel super confident with my drawings, but I am very good at tracing. And so if you're good at tracing, you can be good at wood burning for sure. So you have transfer paper, and there's 2 sides to the transfer paper. There's a glossy side. They absolutely sell this. Michael sells this right by where the craft paint is. So those little bottles of acrylic paint, that's called craft paint. It's in the same aisles with those paints and those paint brushes. So this graphite paper has a shiny side and it has a dull side. And you would put the shiny side towards the surface that you're working on. And then I don't know that I printed anything out, but let me see what I can find. Let's say I have something like this heart. And then I can take a pen, a pencil, whatever it is, in this case, this little tool, and I'm just going to trace on this graphite paper, this shape. Or if this was a design, I would go ahead and trace the whole design. And then you'll see that it makes a really nice transfer onto this wood for me. And then it's a really nice surface for me to just kind of follow the line and just go all the way around this to make that wood burn design. So this transfer paper is like magic for those of us who can't draw the drawings ourselves, but are very good at tracing. And then you have this really beautiful pattern that you can follow, and you can make some different designs inside of the outline that you might create. So now I'm going to switch over to some eggs since I've shown you the transfer paper. And let me show you some of what I've been up to with these eggs over here. So I love making these kind of floral designs that kind of burst outwards. It's one of the doodles I always am doodling on paper. I also enjoy a good butterfly. So those are a couple of different ideas you can try on these eggs. And then another idea is just to go ahead and try to put a name. So if you don't feel confident about your handwriting, or if you don't love your handwriting, you can always use that transfer paper technique we had, where you can print out something. You can make up a document, print it out, and then you can use whatever font you happen to be using on that computer document, and you can transfer that onto paper if you don't want to see your own handwriting. But this is just that technique of letting it burn. And when you're using the transfer paper, you can reuse this transfer paper over and over and over again, but you do want to put shiny side down and dull side up, and then just use a pencil, a pen, really anything to kind of get that graphite from this paper down to whatever surface you're working on. So let me show you some more of the eggs that I already have. So this is a kind of really simple tree design where really you can see that I just drew these lines and kind of let these branches go and put some dots out here, maybe add a little bit of festive grass. It's just fun and easy. Another one that I like to do is just to have an overall kind of theme and run with it. So maybe I just keep making the same markings over and over again across the egg. Just little dots, polka dots, little markings, little crosses, little stars. This one, I have a letter in the center. So I did an outline of that letter and then I just put some dots around it. And then what I was trying out before class started too was once I have these Woodburn designs, they make for some excellent kind of color by number sort of situations where I just took a Posca pen like this one, an acrylic paint pen, and then you can just go ahead and fill in what you've Woodburned. And what's even nicer about that is that the Woodburn gives you a nice groove. So when you're coloring this in or painting this in, it really gives you a strong outline to make a really cool design. And then you can just use a Posca paint marker or you can use a paintbrush. You can just use Crayola markers and things like that too. Sharpie markers, all of those could give you a nice fill-in technique for that Woodburn. So I see a couple of questions in chat, and as soon as I finish this M, I'm going to go through and answer those, and then we'll start Woodburning on an egg together. Love it. Just a fun little touch of extra color to your Woodburn. So let me see some of the questions that I'm seeing in the chat are asking. Make sure I'm answering everything. So can you draw a light pencil line? Absolutely. The graphite paper works really well. You can use any kind of coloring book or printout with that. And which tip did you use to get the fine lines on the grass? Great question. So the fine lines on the grass and the lines on this one that I did too, we're using this kind of calligraphy point. So this just gave those really nice strong lines. So I'm actually going to go ahead and show you how to switch out. And I'm going to go ahead and start with that next tip. So water-based markers, would they bleed? Great question. If you have like a Crayola, which is usually a water-based marker, it kind of gives like a watercolor effect. So I like the way it bleeds into the wood, but you do want to be careful if you want your design to have crisp edges. But I do usually like putting a Crayola marker on top of it because it has a nice kind of bleed to it that I do like. So yeah, be careful with that, but it's absolutely possible. So here's
Megan.
Sure, go for it.
There was also a question about when you're using the graphite paper, should the shiny side go down?
Yes. So the shiny side goes down because that's where the graphite is, and the duller side is going to be on the top. And the shiny side is going to go towards the wood surface. And so it's that shiny side that's actually being transferred onto whatever wood surface you have. So you'll see right now that I'm using pliers. This tool is still plugged in, so I'm definitely not going to be touching anything with bare hands. So I'm using pliers right now and I'm twisting the tip of this off, and I'm twisting off the flow tip, which was that rounded tip, not very fine and not very precise that I had up top there. And I am going to switch to the more calligraphy kind of tip. And it is just screwing in and out. So I'm using my pliers and twisting the tool around to get this new tip up and running. And it doesn't take long for this tip to get just as hot and be ready to use. But I'll show you how this tip is going to work a lot different than the one we had before. So I'm going to find a new egg and I'm going to start with this tip. And I'm going to show you some of those very fine lines that this tip can make. So the grass that you might have seen in the one with the tree, you can make some of those really nice fine grass lines, or maybe this is the fur of a bunny or something like that. You can use this to kind of fill in if you're doing some feathers or some fur. But I'm really just doing what I did with the other tip and kind of how we made the dots, of just letting the tip, since it is so sharp and precise, do the work of making those dashes into my egg. And it doesn't take a long time and it doesn't take a lot of pressure to get a really nice burn. with those really nice fine lines. So I'm going to kind of make a base of some grass or some of this design going around my egg. And I'm holding my egg with the other hand and just kind of leaving the tip and letting it do its job, burning as we go. So the tool that I'm using doesn't have a temperature setting on it. So whatever temperature the manufacturers have decided for us have already decided. If you do have a wood burning tool that has a dial on it where you can adjust the temperature, then you can go ahead and put it on one of the higher settings, because these wooden eggs are a very solid surface. So you are going to want something at a pretty hot temperature to give you some nice burn marks. So this is that fine tip that's kind of like a calligraphy tip. And I can keep going with that around the whole base of this egg to kind of make that bottom kind of grass-like situation. So I really like that so far. Can put this down. And then I'm going to show you on a different piece. If I put the tip of the same tool and kind of drag, because it is so thick going across, it can make a really thick line, but you do have to take your time while you're dragging this to make sure that it's a nice and even burn. And it's a little harder on the egg because the egg is such a round surface, but you can see how that's covering a lot of space very quickly because that tip is so broad. But you can kind of do a really solid, nice line with the side of the tip as well. So if you want the grass to be thinner at the top and thicker at the bottom, I do recommend probably doing 2 swipes for each one. So maybe when you go back, you can kind of go back to the bottom and add a little thickness to the bottom, and then maybe have a lighter tip towards the top. So you might be able to play around with just kind of adding a second mark next to it, kind of like a V or almost like a heart shape, to kind of give you some more of those different textures to play with. And you can go through and you can see what you like and add as much or as little as you want to that design. So I see a question in the chat that says if you're using wire tips. So I'm assuming that the tip that you have for your wood burning tool is one of those ones that's a wire, and it might actually cut into the wood also. You can tell me if I'm wrong. But there are some different tips that are more of like you drag it across and it cuts into the wood as well as burning the wood. So that's kind of a different style than what we're working on today, but that's another style that can be really cool and make some very excellent designs. I'm going to switch tips again, and I'm going to switch tips to my super fine point. So you say it doesn't cut into the wood always. Cool. Yeah, it's probably depending on what angle you hold it at and which tip you're using for there too. So this is a super fine tip that's more of a pencil point precision kind of tip. So it's different from the flow tip I was using before, just to kind of compare them. The flow tip I was using before had a more bullet kind of rounded end, and then this one has a more pointed kind of pencil tip to it. So I'm going to change these out again by just using my pliers, making sure I'm not touching anything. So somebody says that the ballpoint is their favorite. I agree. I love the flow tip and I love the ballpoint. Both of those can make for some really nice wood burning marks. So I'm twisting the tool and using my pliers to hold that tip as I transfer to this more fine tooth, fine point. And then I'm going to kind of go with more of that tree design that we saw before, where I'm going to build up, now that I have some grass on the bottom, I might build up some branches and kind of give myself more of that tree feel. So here we go. I'm going to use this fine tip and I'm going to start drawing a line that kind of is going to start off my tree. And this is a much thinner tip than the one that I was using before. So it's almost as thin as the grass itself. And then I can just start branching off. And the branches can branch off. And then I like the effect of at the end of the branches, kind of giving it a little extra burn to make like a little dot at the end of the branch. I really like that one too. And I'm going to kind of take another branch up and just keep going. And when I think the branches are done, I'm going to put a nice dot at the end. It does kind of look like a pussy willow plant. I like that. Or you could probably do a really nice dandelion with the same point I'm using right now too. Just kind of giving it that wispy feel. We have kind of a nice tree set in some cute little grass down here. And we can make these grass stems longer. We can make them thicker. We can make them thinner. This tip has such nice precision that you can really add some very thin detail if you want it. Kind of make that a little higher. Add some extra texture in there. And get us a pretty nice. So I have a lot of dots and unsteadiness in this one, probably because of the way I'm holding it so that you can see it. But you can always go back over the lines and burn them again to make them more even. So you can already tell the difference with that line than kind of the dotted lines I was doing on the other parts. So I like to take my time with it and go back through and make sure that it's a design that I'm proud of and that I like. So if anyone is burning Easter eggs along with me today, I would love to see what you're doing. If you have Instagram, if you want to share them that way, I'd love to see it by tagging Learn with Michaels. Or if you want to take a picture and throw it in chat, you can show me that way too. It is a really nice, relaxing craft. And the bonus of this craft is the really nice smell that comes with it too. It reminds me of campfires and being outside and just really enjoying some time in nature. So I love this one, just a real simple kind of fun pattern. I want to show you another one. This is one that I did a signature on. So I'm going to keep this same point and I'm going to go for another name. So let's say that I go with, I'm going to put a Julie on this one. So my first round, I'm really just freehanding this in my own handwriting. And I'm not taking a lot of time to make it perfect. I'm just kind of giving myself a nice one bottom layer. And then I'm going to take the time and go through and make these lines even better. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and switch back out to my flow point because I want my name to be showing up thicker. So I'm going to twist this out. And I'm going to be changing to the more bullet point, which is the flow tip. And I'm twisting that one back in. So how would you make an egg shape to put on the tree? How would you make an egg shape to put on the tree? I'm not sure what you're asking. An egg in the tree that we just made? Give me some more information. I'll see if I can help. All right, I'm going to go back over the first layer that I already have of this signature. Ooh, Christmas tree. And I'm going to make these lines thicker using a thicker point. Oh, okay, now I know what you're talking about. So some people decorate, my mom used to do this when we were little. We had a little pear tree or peach tree, I think, in our side yard, and she used to put those plastic Easter eggs hanging into that tree. So I think that's what you're talking about, and I like that idea. So let me finish this name egg, and we'll go back to the tree egg and see if we can add in some Easter eggs. I have a couple of ideas. So I like that I can use this tip to make the letters thicker. that'll be more pronounced and you can see these better than the first line that I did, which was using that smaller, more precision tip. What's cool about this too is then you can go back. I have a class, I think in April, it'll be too late for this Easter egg, but using RIT dye, you can dye these eggs. You can put these eggs into dye. And what's cool is it'll keep that, it'll keep the burn and kind of keep that indentation from the wood burning, but you could color this egg as well. So you might notice I gave an extra little burn to the eye, and that was not on purpose. But the way that I'm holding my tool, since this tip, there's this other metal part right here at the end. I'm not going to touch it because it's hot. So if I accidentally let that part of the tip touch my egg, I accidentally just burned an extra piece right here. But you know me, I'm going to turn that into a part of the design. So don't worry. Mistakes are just new designs. So we'll make that blend right in. You'll never know. Of course I did that large eye dot on purpose, over exaggerating. And then I'll go back and make this J even thicker just to kind of make it blend in a little better. Of course I meant to make very thick lines. Of course I did. So I do need to be careful what angle I'm holding my tool at so that I don't accidentally do that again. Because any of the metal portions of this tool, including this part down here, can burn the egg or burn the wooden surface. So I feel like I've saved that pretty well. Make just a couple of my letters a little bit thicker, and you'll never know. So this is kind of an example of showing how to write names on these eggs. So if you're having a party at your house and you're hiding Easter eggs, maybe some of the larger prize eggs can have all the kids' names on them. And then when they find their wooden egg, they can trade it in for a larger prize or something like that. And then what's nice about this is that it is permanent. So it's not plastic. You can keep this for years and years and years. And you could add, you could engrave people's initials. You could add years, like Julie was at the egg hunt this year and Julie was at the egg hunt this year, and kind of add in some numbers so that it's a little history marker too. So there's lots of fun things that you can do with these wooden eggs that you can then pass down or keep for lots of time to come. So the next egg I'm going to work on is going to be more of this floral egg, which to me looks a little bit more complicated, but it's actually not as crazy as you might initially think. So before I go to the egg, I'm going to show you on paper how I get started with this particular design. So let me see if I can find, here we go. So the way that I start these designs, if I was doing it on something flat, would be for me to start with a petal shape. So I start with a little petal, and then I go across from that little petal and I make another petal. So far I have these two petals, and then I'm going to add another petal and another petal. And you can tell that I'm going to keep building this out and keep adding more petals. So I just kind of continually make this shape over and over again, filling in the space. And then when you start to have these gaps in between, you might just need a part of your petal. So just a part of it might be showing, or maybe over here the whole thing is showing, maybe just another part. So this is kind of a design that I like to keep going with and keep adding and adding and adding and building out. And then I can continue to make that pattern across the entire egg if I wanted to, which kind of looks like dragon petals or something pretty cool. And then you might have seen me hold this up towards the beginning, where after I've done the outline with my wood burning, I went back with some Posca paint markers and was able to kind of color it in. So if you need an activity during a party this weekend, I think it's fun to set up a little station with two different wood burners and have some wood things. It is not too late to make wood burn eggs for Easter. You can make them on that day. Just set out some little tools, set out some designs, and let people go to work. And then maybe somebody might be interested in making some with paint. Some people might be interested in using some markers. So there's lots of different things that you can use with that. So if you found something that will hold it steady so I don't get burned, great point and great question. When you're using a wood burner, there are heat resistant gloves. So especially because these eggs are so small, you do want to be really careful, and they are kind of a weird shape to kind of keep working with. So you might want to use heat resistant gloves in order to hold that. Also, sometimes the heat from the wood burning tool starts traveling down towards this plastic end where your hand is. So you might also want to wear a heat resistant glove on this hand, and that's going to be able to protect you a lot better too. Then there are different ways to kind of keep track of your egg. So you might find good ways to hold it steady in a position. So maybe you have some kind of bowl that has kind of a dip in it that can kind of hold that egg steady for you. That might be another good way to keep yourself from burning yourself. So another question in the chat was asking about the wire tips, and I honestly don't know. So if there are other people who do know more about the wire tips, that would be awesome. Go ahead and keep helping each other in chat. That helps me too. So I'm going to go to a pretty large egg so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I am going to go for this floral pattern and kind of show how that happens too. Ah, a deviled egg tray. That is genius. Thank you. Yes. I love that idea. That would perfectly hold this egg for you. That is such a good idea. All right, so I'm going to kind of use this to kind of keep me centered. And with these wooden eggs, I tend to find that they sometimes have a pattern to them where there's like a blank space that's kind of circular. So another person asked, can you trace the pattern on the egg? Absolutely, you can. You can use that transfer paper. Another option too would be stencils. So if you have a stencil that's definitely going to bend enough, since the surface is pretty weird, you can use this stencil and you can pencil it in, and then you can burn right over top of pencil. That's absolutely okay too. So if you don't feel good about freehanding, we have some really cool stencils that might give you that same kind of effect of what I'm about to do freehanded. So if you do have some pencil markings that don't go away, some sandpaper does help that also. So you can also use some sandpaper if an eraser isn't erasing a pencil mark. You can sand that off and kind of help that to disappear. So I found myself a really nice surface on this egg, and I'm going to start building those petals like I was showing you before. So I'm going to start with a petal going up. And then I'm going to go with the petal going down. So I have these two so far. And then you can decide if you want to do just 4 and kind of make that cross shape, or if you want to fit more than 4 petals, if you want to go more for more. I'm going to add 2 to each one of those sides. So here's one. And I like to kind of go across from each one. And all the tips of my petals are kind of coming into that same point. Then I'm going to go over here and add this one. And I'm going to go ahead and squeeze 2 petals in over here too. And that'll kind of be my base. And I'm going to continue to add and add and add. Ooh, would this design work with the leaf tip? Oh my gosh. Yes, I didn't even think of that. Thank goodness for all of you fun people in the chat giving me so many good ideas today. I'm going to trade this tip out, and I just want to go ahead and show you what this tip can do. Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot about that. So I'm going to take this flow tip, which is my favorite, but that's okay. I'm going to replace it with this nice leaf pattern and show you how that might work. So I'm just using my pliers, making sure that I'm not touching any of the metal pieces with my hands so that I keep myself nice and safe, because this tool is very hot. Very hot. The pliers I'm using, these are some jewelry pliers that I happen to have, but any needle nose pliers, really any pliers will work just fine, because it's just kind of holding it while you twist it. I'm going to let this tip kind of get going. And then I'm going to show you what this one can do. I'm going to go on the back of our tree. Oh, I forgot about the egg tree too. I bet you could just kind of drip these lines down and add some extra dots. And then I would go through with color also to make it really stand out as an egg tree. So here we go. It will be a little tricky because the egg is so curved, but here is what this tip can do. Ooh. This is actually going to be perfect for those of you who don't want to freehand some petals. These can make some nice petals for you. Just continuing in that circular, oh, bunny ears. Yes, great idea. So it's kind of like branding, where you're branding the wooden egg with this tool and just kind of letting it sit and do its thing. You can drag it a bit if you want to make that petal a little bit longer. But yeah, that's a really great idea that you can definitely make some cool floral designs with this. You do have to just kind of keep turning the shape around so that you can make sure that since this is such a wide footprint, it doesn't quite touch everywhere on the wooden egg. So I'm kind of tilting it and tilting the egg so that I can get that point too, to get a nice, I love that. That's cool. What a great idea. I love that. Gonna burn the center so that it's kind of more of a petal flowing out. I love that. All right, I'm going to switch back to my other point and I'm going to keep working on this flower. But if anyone has more ideas, I mean, this audience is full of some really, really good ideas. So let me know what else you want to try or watch me try. I'm happy to do it with you. And please, if you make something, let me know. Show me a picture. I'd love to see what kind of creations you're able to come up with. So I twisted that out with the pliers and I'm putting my flow tip back in to give me a little bit of a wider burn, but still have some good precision. I saw a while ago somebody in the chat talking about their tip was getting stuck on their wood. And that is actually a really good point that I do want to make sure that I talk about. The wood surface matters. So you can tell that this is a very smooth surface. So drawing a line, there's no jumps to my line. When you get into more of your natural woods, like this wood slice, if these grooves are larger, you can end up kind of tripping over some of those grooves that are in the natural piece of wood. So I highly recommend using this flow tip point when you're doing that, because it's the rounded tip is going to flow over more of those crevices in the wood. So I recommend using a rounder tip if you're using some more natural wood. When you're done with it, that's funny that you asked, because that's exactly what the other side of this is. So I painted this with some acrylic paints, and then you might be able to tell that this is a little bit glossy because I did seal it. So after the paint dried, I sealed it with a nice clear spray that gives it a good clear finish too. Once you've put paint or once you've put sealant on a wood, do not burn over top of it, because you're going to release some chemicals that you don't want to release. So make sure that when you're wood burning on a smooth surface that's a natural wood and that is going to not already be treated with any kind of chemicals. So do you use acrylic paints to color the eggs? Absolutely, I would. So I'm going to continue to build these petals and kind of continue out this design. But if you want to use a stencil, if you just want to draw polka dots, if you want to write people's names, we've seen a lot of different options today with how to make these eggs really personalized. So my family did this one Christmas, but I don't see why you couldn't do it for Easter. We're in a garage. We kind of set up, like I was saying, a workshop where people were able to kind of pick up some tools and pick up some different wooden surfaces and just kind of play around with it. It's fun to have a nice little activity for people to participate in at a party. If you have like a baby shower or something, it might be a fun thing to kind of personalize some things with the baby's name on it. Obviously, they don't have to be eggs, but lots of different shapes that you can use. There's some really cool wooden heart shapes that we sell at Michael's too that could be really nice and personalized for a party like that. So I'm just going to continue to build this pattern out for a while. And we've had some great conversation and some great questions in the chat. So if you do think of anything else you want to ask me, please let me know. So this large egg is awesome. And then they do have these bags of smaller eggs too. So if you want to try a lot of these, you can go with that too. And you can decide to leave this design if you make one of these floral kind of flowing out patterns. You can leave it wood burned, or you can decide to go back and add some color. It depends on what you're going for. There we go. And this is really relaxing for me. I hope it's relaxing for you too. Just to kind of let the tool do its work and burn into the egg. And I'm just kind of guiding it. When you have a nice hot tool and you have a nice piece of wood, it's kind of like pulling a hot knife through butter, and it's really relaxing. Oh no, some people are saying that their stores are out of these eggs. That is a shame. But there are lots of other wooden surfaces that you could use. You could take these rectangles and you could draw eggs on them and just have everybody kind of decorate eggs onto more of a square surface. So you can find a way to kind of keep making this project last a little bit longer. Yes, they would make great coasters. You might be able to tell, have some Irish background in me. So I love making a really nice Celtic knot on a coaster and just having some of those fun designs hanging around at my house. Here we go. And I'm feeling pretty good about this design. So I'm going to keep going with this even after the class is over. And if you want to check out my own personal Instagram is 4M Coleman. And so if you want to see some of my eggs after I've spent a little bit more time cleaning them up, I would love to see what else you're able to do with some of these different tools. So thank you so much for joining me today. This was a really fun class. I hope that you enjoyed it too and that you came up with some great ideas. So thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you again soon.